I quit.
Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk has been the wrestling rivalry of the year, and they haven't even had a single match yet. Everything so far has been crafted with absolute precision, to the point where you may not even realize the details that have gone into it. When you really look deep, you think of an inkling of what Triple H's master plan for this very personal, bitter rivalry might be. Yes, this is Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm Kevin Kellum from the best wrestling city in the world, Chicago. And you can tell me what you think of this storyline with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in the comments below. Come on, what are you going to do? You're not going to say anything? Go ahead. Use the keyboard. Use the keyboard. It's right there. We'll start with a little bit of the background, specifically looking at the things from Drew McIntyre's very, very regrettable side of the story. No wrestler has had a better character arc than the Scottish Warrior since he became a villain in late 2023. Yes, that chip is on his shoulder. It had its roots all the way back in 2021. Drew McIntyre repeatedly failed to recapture the magic of 2020 during the pandemic days and regain the WWE Championship. Those same pandemic days when he was truly the guy who worked WWE through a lot of major tough times with no fans present. He didn't get his crowning moment. It really peaked a year later in the summer of 2022. Drew McIntyre, still the valiant hero, was screwed out of the undisputed Universal Championship at Clash at the Castle in Cardiff. Yes, he's the big UK wrestler who doesn't get his big moment because, boom, Roman Reigns has another family member to help him win a match. Yeah, everyone keeps saying Roman Reigns was a great champion, but cheated a lot, right? Although it wasn't Jey Uso who directly screwed him out of the occasion, he became the target of McIntyre's anger, resentment, and frustration following year when Cody Rhodes brought him to Raw. This was used as fuel to fire McIntyre into a dark side, which eventually came to light in late 2023 when he aligned with the Judgment Day in an unsuccessful effort at Survivor Series War Games. Even then, it was a slow-burning buildup that took months to play out.
Stand back. There's a new wrestling quiz coming through. Check out BrainBuster, the daily quiz that tests your WWE knowledge with winning streaks, stats, and more. It's time to see if you're up for the challenge.
At the 2024 Royal Rumble, McIntyre once again sought to rocket himself to the top of the card, becoming the winner for the second time in the Rumble match, only for CM Punk to eliminate him. Now, the problem, though, in that match is CM Punk was injured, but he managed to do something that was just as satisfying to him as winning the Royal Rumble. He injured him some more and took him out of what seemed to be a destined WrestleMania main event with someone else that CM Punk has a personal issue with, Seth Rollins. This really kickstarted Drew McIntyre's true villainous arc in a big way. He couldn't keep Punk's name out of his mouth, on television, on social media, everywhere. CM Punk may not have been on the WrestleMania card, but he was in the WrestleMania conversation, and Drew McIntyre may have been his biggest megaphone. Whether it was social media, Monday at Raw, the Scotsman took every chance to take a dig at Punk. And while everybody was eagerly anticipating Punk's response, he was sitting quietly on the sidelines, and then the opportunity came. The World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 40 was going to be between Seth Rollins and McIntyre. CM Punk conveniently found himself at the commentary desk for the match, an arrangement he set up in his own hometown of Chicago to a huge response. What would Punk do against two men that he had very serious issues with and a big prize on the line at the biggest show of the year? As McIntyre finally got his moment and won the World Championship in front of his fans, a vulnerable, weakened Rollins falling to him, his wife, his brother, his family at ringside, he decided to make the mistake of rubbing that championship belt in Punk's face. It's clear that the "this could have been you, but it's me" kind of moment And just as he turned his back, one swoop of the legs from Punk off the commentary desk, it would send McIntyre into his biggest downward spiral. Punk trashed the Scotsman, nailing him with the arm brace that was around his injured tricep, leaving him vulnerable. And as a result, Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank, would cash in his briefcase and make WWE history. McIntyre would have the World Championship at WrestleMania for a few mere moments. Once again, defined by fleeting, tainted success. And is that really success at all? Just like that, McIntyre's words had come back to bite him on the ass. A true moment of karma, but it wouldn't end there. The next night on Raw after WrestleMania, McIntyre was in a world title #1 contenders match, and CM Punk appeared out of nowhere to directly cost him a championship opportunity. And to make matters worse, the one who pinned McIntyre to get the opportunity was his hated rival, main event Jey Uso. This was a huge double burn. The story cooled off a little bit a couple of months as Punk stepped back while McIntyre got himself in a world championship match at Clash at the Castle in his home country of Scotland. That's when things really came to a head. A feverish home country was behind their man. This was Drew McIntyre in Scotland, and they wanted to see him have his pristine, unfiltered, pure world title moment. Clash at the Castle was to be his night, but it became Curse at the Castle for Drew, as he once again got screwed out of the World Championship. CM Punk appeared as a referee, directly costing McIntyre, helping Damian Priest retain his World Heavyweight Championship. At a loss for words, McIntyre would come out a few days on Raw and announce he quit WWE, while simultaneously deactivating his social media. And then just a few short days later, in such a reversal of settings, in CM Punk's hometown, one of the greatest wrestling cities in the world, Chicago, Illinois, at the famous All-State Arena, an arena he made famous, we had this absolutely genius moment of madness. Depending on how you look at it, McIntyre brutally assaulted CM Punk, who was still on the mend and not medically cleared yet to return to action, and carried his lifeless body to the main stage, dropping it in front of the Chicago audience, who booed Drew out of the building. It was the ultimate act of revenge. I was there. I saw it. Boo, Drew! Boo him! It isn't just the specific moments that they chose to get back at one another. If you really look at it, you'll see that Triple H and his creative team have masterfully crafted the narrative of this story. Here are some major hints and clues that reveal that everything isn't as black and white as it may seem. There's certainly shades of gray. When we say black and white, we're referring to the traditional dynamic of a wrestling good guy and a wrestling bad guy. Sure, CM Punk may have been a villain for one night in Glasgow, but overall, he's being presented as a hero of this story. Well, McIntyre is the villain, the resentful one who feels he's doing the right thing, but he's really not. But is it really that simple? Some might say that it's actually Drew McIntyre who's going against the grain. And while his character is obviously not faultless and not to blame for his questionable actions and ethical consequences, there have been some interesting signs. After Clash at the Castle, McIntyre's friend, SmackDown commentator, and fellow UK wrestler Wade Barrett had to be the voice of some demented reason, while the Scotsman was getting his hands on everyone at ringside. An infuriated Wade Barrett would go on to have a near 5-minute rant post-show about why CM Punk should be fired from the WWE. Not only this, but Barrett even went on to slam Triple H and everyone at WWE for his comments in his post-show media scrum, where he repeatedly praised CM Punk and his overall impact. Despite Big E trying to fight back against Wade Barrett, he had no legitimate points justifying Punk's involvement in the main event. Yes, CM Punk screwed Drew McIntyre in Scotland. This is a guy who was talking trash for a while. You know, say things happen to you, right? And Barrett, for his part, made some great points. So what was the consequence of all that? WWE fined Wade Barrett for his comments on CM Punk and Triple H. Are we seeing a pattern here? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Even Raw commentator Pat McAfee was critical of the way that Punk and Drew's situation has played out in Glasgow. Punk was the one who directly got involved in the outcome of 2 World Championship matches in 2 months. But it's probably going to be Drew McIntyre who faces the ultimate ramifications of this because of his clash with WWE management. Now, others would say that Drew McIntyre is the one who injured CM Punk. And CM Punk says, "I will never let you be world champion again." Yeah, others would argue CM Punk used to be the rebel. He used to be the guy who fought the authority system. He used to be the real Punk, right? And now he's being completely backed and covered by WWE management. Or is this just circumstances of him getting caught in all of this? Do you see the irony in it? Yes, the lines are blurred. And Drew McIntyre, for his part, seems to have realized there's no point in taking his old approach. The brutal assault on CM Punk in Chicago was a sign of that. He's cold, he's calculated, and he's gonna get his hands dirty and bloody. There's a saying, don't get mad, get even. McIntyre is doing a lot more than that, and he's getting even more than some of that. WWE will continue to keep the lines blurry and let fans pick their favorites. The majority of them are picking Punk. Again, we're not saying or implying that Drew McIntyre is right or even justified. And for those of you in the pro-CM Punk, anti-Drew camp, let's say this. Drew McIntyre is a guy who has this chip on his shoulder and he can't get it off, and that chip is winning a world title and actually running with it in an unfiltered way. We've already kind of brought that up, right? And he kind of thinks in this whole thing he's entitled to that, but he doesn't have to earn that? That's worth bringing up. The next thing he's going to earn is the next page in this story, which likely involves CM Punk having revenge on Drew McIntyre for his actions in Chicago. It's hard to see what the payoff will be here and if it'll be just one big match at SummerSlam. That's unlikely. Some claim that Drew McIntyre is going to destroy CM Punk, but also CM Punk has had really only one televised match since his return to WWE. So this one could be something special in that regard, if he is indeed cleared to compete by the time we get to SummerSlam. It's going to be a lot harder if WWE wants to drag this out all the way to WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, and they're going to have to get really creative if they want to blow it off in April 2025. That is a long, long time from now. What's really cool about this story is how it completely deviated from the traditional good guy, bad guy trope and created something fresh and is built around having a world title, but not actually competing for it. Both men, incredibly flawed people, and interesting characters with a lot of layers and dimensions. It just seems to be getting increasingly ruthless over the course of a few months. And when Drew McIntyre laid out CM Punk on that SmackDown, he took a bracelet from him that referenced CM Punk's wife and his beloved dog. He made it personal. So, this isn't about a title anymore or being a world champion. This is about being the better man. Who do you pick? CM Punk or Drew McIntyre? If CM Punk remains fit for the rest of the year, then this can be one of the rivalries that wrestling really needs to do something different. It's so good, it doesn't even need a championship. It's exactly what WWE needs, and it's a continuation of Triple H and the new creative vision mastering the art of storytelling in this Renaissance era. What do you think? Should CM Punk come out on top or Drew McIntyre? Once again, let us know in the comments below.